Thank you. Good job. Good. Welcome. So glad to have everybody here. Packed house. This may be a record for our number of attendees. So I'm Susan from the Chamber. So glad you're here. And I did try to turn the air down in here, so this room is as cold as I think it can get. So sorry, but it's great to have a great crowd. Want to welcome our sponsor today, River City Habitat for Humanity. We appreciate that sponsorship. We are on Zoom also. And Rebecca, how many people do we have joining us? 17, 20. So we're going to go around the room and introduce yourself. Speak up, tell us your name and your business. And then after that, we're going to have the folks that are joining us virtually unmute themselves. So we hope that you keep it on mute for now. And then if you have questions, put them in the chat. And don't record anything without permission. So with that, let's go ahead and start introductions. Adam, you want to start?
Adam Rush, Butterbitch Contracting, Logan Grass, Craft Real Estate Holtschneider.
Hi everyone, Chrissy Salter from Benchmark Marketing. Lori Holscher in Missouri.
Mike Lester, City Council Ward 2.
Cameron Gerber, the News Tribune.
Jackie Coleman Associates.
Jamie Meyer, Tesla Promotional Branding.
James Black, Cabot Hospital Care next year. Jerry Radford, retired.
Shannon Hawk, Armstrong Teasdale. Deb Bushman, Being Contracting.
Adrian Heckman, Central Bank and past YP Chair.
Brady Woods, I'm with Sam Spud, T-Mobile. Derek,
Chamber.
Derek Baker with Play 4 Bakery.
And Becky Kehoe, we're property owners downtown.
Doug Hyder, Missouri Association of School Administrators.
Paul Sampson, JC Rep.
Molly Bryan, the City of Jefferson.
Joanne Malone, Chamber Staff.
Mackenzie Jones, City Council Ward 5.
Bobby Grizzly, Department of Education, Workforce Development.
Ron Lawson, Alliance Catholic.
Ryan Campier, ABC 17 and YP Chair.
Jesse Bono, Jefferson City Regional Economic Partnership. Donna Trammell, Ann Missouri. Guess Lori Holscher, but I didn't hear the right time to step by her.
I love it. Peyton Rupel, Mid-America Bank.
Hannah Hansen, Mid-America Bank.
Diane Gillespie, Jefferson City Convention Visitors Bureau.
Ryan Mold, City Jefferson.
Renee Brown, Chamber Staff.
Hi, Luke Holtschneider with the Jefferson City Regional Economic Partnership.
Ron Fitzwater, Mayor, City of Jefferson.
Frank Reisig, Evening Rotary.
Beth Calgill, Liberty Family Medicine, also Chamber Ambassador and part of the leadership class this year.
Marie Schaefer, Mary Making Balloons. You walked past some of my balloons when you came in.
Felicia Petke, Able Learning Center.
Oh, good morning. Carrie Spicer with Epic Real Estate Group. Virginia Steiger with Post Builders and a Chamber Investor.
Laura Martins, Pizza House, and we're in the leadership class this year.
Carrie Turgeon, Carrie's Hallmark Shop.
Gary Plummer with the Chamber.
Dan Basel, Home Helpers, Home Care.
Christopher Scott with Farmers Insurance, also treasurer for the Red Slipper Warrior Project, and as of Tuesday, your councilman, Commissioner-elect for Callaway County.
Good morning, Katrina Tinnen, Central Bank and Red Slipper Warrior Project, and Chamber Ambassador.
Jim Dennis, Red Slipper Ward Project.
Gay Sagan, Amber, Missouri, but I'm also the Chamber Chair this year, so welcome everybody. Thank you for all that you do.
Bradley Kellerman with Scout America, Red Slipper Warrior Project, and Ambassador.
Good morning, Derek Thomas with the Capital City Political Action Committee.
Good morning, Stu Murphy, retired, but also an ambassador.
Hi, I'm Alden Henriksen. I'm an officer of the Habitat Board.
Susan Cook, River City Habitat.
Joan Wilkes, Central Bank, YP Professional Development Co-Chair.
I am LB Bidinger. I'm with Chick-fil-A. Eat more chicken.
And I'm Lisa Luke, not even growing spirits, Mobile Barn.
A few online that want to introduce themselves, if you want to unmute.
Good morning, Rochelle Weaver, Cumulus Media.
Hello, my name is Nicole Hume. I'm from KMOS TV.
Hi there, I'm Melinda Jennings with Girl Scouts of the Missouri Heartland.
Jane
Good morning,
Duncan,
this
Central
is
Bank.
Paula, CNS Business.
Sorry.
Jane and Paula, good morning.
Together.
Tracy King, AT&T.
Marty Miller, Quaker Window Products.
Amanda Hoffman, Scholastic.
Amy Jackson, State Fair Community College.
Jolyn Turley, State Fair Community College.
Please, Tammy, chamber staff.
Anyone else want to introduce themselves online?
Shannon Gruce, State Tech.
Dennis Spears, Loggy Alliance Technical Group.
Okay. All right. Okay. So when we just did introductions, do you want to introduce yourself?
No, not really. Brian Burns,
Yeah. I wanted to recognize some new members that we have here. If you were here, you know we have a new member welcome a few minutes before this event. And a few of our new members are here. Felicia with the Adult Basic Literacy Education Able. High Street Auto Repair, Peggy, K-9's on the front line, Jason. Landon Barbecue and Catering, John. Mel's, Brian. Missouri Primary Care Associate, Joe. NCW Hair, Natalie, and Nicole Manor, photographer, Nicole. We have a couple other new members. If this is your first time coming to Friday Coffee, raise your hand. Some of you might be new members. Yeah, we did. I noticed a couple other new members, the Roaming Spirit. If you're kind of one of our new members, I don't want to out you on that, but yeah, welcome. Glad to have you here. And Chick-fil-A is kind of a new member too, so good. Well, with that, I'm going to turn it over to our sponsor. Susan and Alden are going to talk to us about the River City Habitat. You want to speak from there? I'll just pass this over. Yeah.
All right, so it's amazing that all of you showed up to hear me speak. So my name is Susan. I'm the executive director at Habitat. I've been there about 8 years, and so we are proud to sponsor the coffee today. River City Habitat is currently the only local home builder providing homeownership opportunities for low-income families in our area. We have been around since 1992, and we have built or renovated over 132 homes right here in Polk County. So when you think about Habitat, you probably think about that right there, right? Home building, but we do so much more, right? So homes, communities, and hope. Those are our big areas that we focus on. So when we talk about homes, we talk about safe, affordable, quality designs. We talk about neighborhood revitalization, because just like when your annoying neighbor mows his yard, and then you have to mow your yard, it's the same thing. When you go into a neighborhood and you put in a new home, and you build up a home and make it look better, it helps create the neighborhood to where then they start building up their homes. We also have recently just put in some bids for the lots on Capitol Avenue, because we want to help rebuild that neighborhood as well. So we'll see what happens with that. We also have a home repair program. That's for Habitat homeowners or non-Habitat homeowners that meet the income guidelines. We want to be able to keep people in their homes and preserve the housing stock that we have here in Jefferson City. So if somebody needs help with critical repairs, we help with that. When we talk about community, one of the big things is our Habitat Restore. How many of you have been into our Restore? Yay! So the Restore is one of our biggest funders. It helps us build about 3 homes a year. So every time you donate, every time you shop, every time you volunteer, it helps build a home for a family in need here in Jefferson City. And so we appreciate your donations. We do pickups. So if you have big items that you want to donate and you can't bring them to the Restore, we will come and pick those up free of charge if you live here in the city limits. So keep that in mind. We have a lot of building materials. We have 2 big, large buildings. So a lot of things that you can't find other places, come see us. We also do aluminum can recycling. We have built 2 homes solely from the proceeds of aluminum cans. And we are working on our 3rd. So we are in a contest right now for the 3rd time with every habitat in the nation and Canada to see who can recycle the most aluminum cans. And we have come in 2nd every time. Yeah, who we want to come in first? Here.
Came to the right spot.
So, raise your hands between now and October, because we can win money to build more
Yeah, there are drop-off spots for those cans, right, other than at the.
Yes, yeah, you'll see them around town.
Hy-Vee parking lot area, but mall, that's where mine go. I put a lot of them there.
Here, we'll take whatever. Numerous places around town, you can go to our website to see all the different locations. Hope is the other part, right? We work with our families and we work with them on financial literacy. A lot of them don't have the support system. If I lost my job today, look at all the, to make sure. If I lost my job today, I have family, I have friends, I have people that would support me, and I probably would not end up on the streets, right? But there's people who don't have that. And so we help be that support system for our families and help them with services and being with them. They also have homeowner education where we require them to take classes to learn how to become a successful homeowner, whether that's home maintenance, learning wills and trusts, learning how to understand mortgage documents. And lastly, advocacy. We work with the city, we work with the state, we work everywhere we can to advocate for safe, affordable housing. And so that is our contact information. If you hadn't heard, the restore is now open on Wednesdays. Yay, another day. Because our hours are wonky, everybody complains about them. Wednesdays, Saturdays, 9 a.m. to noon, Fridays, 12:30 to 5. So come visit us and shop the store that helps grow. I know you got one last thing, because they only allow me 3 slides. Homes, Hearts, and Campers, October 8th. That is our fundraising dinner. And I should have brought a flyer, but I didn't. So it is on our website. Tickets are available now. Sponsorships are available now. That is another event that helps us be able to celebrate the impact of affordable housing in our community. Oh, the keynote speaker is David Burton. He is the one that helped create the Good Neighbor Week. It is a state, I don't know how to say it, the state legislature created Good Neighbor Week. It's the week before our event. And so he goes around the nation talking about how to be a good neighbor and what neighboring is. And so it's going to be a very interesting topic about community building and how to be a good neighbor.
Well, I know you have a.
I do, and a little green basket with a lot of habitat and stuff, and get certificate to
Or at least
register. Right?
Yeah, all right. I can draw.
Non-new member.
Brian Campeter. Oh, there, yay! I looked over here. Blonde girls over here. Good, I was gonna ask you to come in the photo. All right. She's got you trained, doesn't she?
Easy there when you're talking about mom.
All right. Good, great. Okay, and we appreciate your sponsorship. Just want to make a quick announcement. Friday Coffee sponsor is co-sponsored with Cumulus, and Rochelle joined us online. We partner with Cumulus to do that sponsorship, so you get exposure here, but Rochelle will also work with you on some radio commercials to, maybe promote your heart hammer as well. Very good. So we appreciate that sponsorship, and we are going to be taking sponsorships for 2025 pretty soon. So if your business would like to be a sponsor, let us know. I'm going to go through some quick announcements. We have flyers on the table for some of these things too, but we have an opportunity coming up for our Small Business Network for training and grow your small business operation systems that you're put in place. So that is August 14th. There's no charge for that. Gary Wilbers does that. It'll be in this room and also virtually. So if you haven't registered for that, I encourage you to do so. If you've been to one of the seminar presentations with Gary, it's a lot of great value, and he's there to assist you, answer questions. So we appreciate Gary for helping us do that. Other networking opportunities, our Chamber Connections is August 15th. It's activities and custom is our sponsor, so thank you, custom. So it's from 4 to 5:30. Bring your business cards. We're going to be in the bar area on the patio. It's another great opportunity for you to network with Chamber members. Leadership Jefferson City has an event coming up, and I know Laura's going to talk about it.
That's your cue.
Yeah. Were you all right, Laura? I'm sorry. Yes, okay. So we are 2 weeks away from the Battle of the Bruce. So it's August 24th. It's at the fairgrounds from 12 to 4. And we have lots of great things involved with it. We have 2 bands. We have Shiloh and Murphy's Board. So it's packed with entertainment. We're going to have some food trucks, Pizza Quick, Langdon's Barbecue and Cajun Catfish House. And then I think we have about 20 brewers. So when you get your tickets, you're gonna get your little beer cup and you're gonna taste all the beer and vote. And we have prizes for that. We have a couple events going on throughout, like a sign holding competition, some raffles. So it's gonna be lots of fun. You can get your tickets on the Facebook page or I think the Chamber site as well. Tickets are $40 beforehand, 45, John, 50 at the door, I think. And we have t-shirts. There's some specials going on when you buy the ticket and the t-shirt together ahead of time. So, and the whole event, our leadership class has chosen the Special Learning Center and the Sinker Project. So those are the beneficiaries. So get your tickets. It's going to be lots of fun. Hopefully the weather's as nice as today.
And we want to thank Pizza Hut for being our presenting sponsor.
Yes. Yes.
And we're probably gonna have a balloon beer mug, courtesy of.
Yeah, good. Also, a quick announcement, there's invitations out for the Chamber Annual Gala and Award Ceremony. It's September 6th. We always have fun themes. This time it's neon nights. We are on the patio at Canterbury Hill Winery, so we'll have, like I said, some great community awards, dinner, dancing, and wear your bright colors. You have to wear your bright colors and have fun, so that's September 6th. Joan, you want to talk about the Mid-Mo Summit?
So our Mid-Mo Summit is coming up September 26th. So just about a month and a half away. Tickets are $55 a piece, and you guys do have in front of you our little information about the summit, and then on the back is our sponsorship levels. So we are still looking for sponsorships as well. It's going to be at Missouri Soybean this year, and we thank Jefferson Bank for being our presenting sponsor.
I'm gonna add a couple things to that. We do have an office pack. It's a little bit of a discount. You can get 4 tickets for $200, so a savings of $20. We do have our couple of speakers. We have Daryl Smith from the University of Missouri talking about courageous leadership. Jesse from Huber and Associates talking about AI in the workplace. And a motivational speaker, Anderson, who is the head softball coach from the University of Missouri. And we should be announcing the keynote in the next week. So stay tuned for that.
Thanks, Allison. Okay, another announcement coming up on November 7th. This is kind of save the date for the event, the Business Summit. We give away the Small Business of the Year Award, the Exceptional Employee Award, and we announce the winners of the Pitch to Win It contest. Right now, we're taking nominations for the Business and the Employee Award. So I just want to note, by September 24th, get your nominations in. It's easy, you'll get emails about that, or you can go to our website. But I'm sure you know of a wonderful business or employee that's deserving of one of those awards, and we encourage you to nominate them. Before we start our program, we're going to do our city update. So the mayor is going to give us an update on the city. Sure. You don't have any slides.
Well, thank you. It's a privilege to be here on behalf of the city. We've got a couple of our council members, Councilman Lester and Councilwoman Job. I don't know, did I miss anybody? Got some of our staff here, our city attorney and our communications director, PIO. I don't know what you're talking about. Amazing jobs, that's an exciting thing going for the city. I'm just going to kind of talk about a couple things. It's always a privilege to be with the Habitat and for all the work that they do. I've had the privilege of working on a house with our Rotary group, and then we had a blessing house a couple weeks ago over on the side street, right there on Main Street, I guess, kind of on the corner. So it's always a fun time. And Gay has been very active on the housing issue. Andy Fecto was pushing housing when he was chair of the chamber, and I know Logan has been very active on that issue also. The city is active, and there's a lot going on in this community, a lot of exciting things. We had another low-income housing tax credit program approved by council at the meeting Monday night, so we'll have at least 2 proposals going to the state. As you know, we got a program approved last year. Someone, I forget who, I guess it was, you mentioned the Capitol Avenue projects, and we will be working on this next week. I think next Friday, the city council will be having a special meeting to begin looking at those RFPs that we received and how we go about rebuilding Capitol Avenue. So that's a very important project for the city, and as we kind of rebuild that very historic and very important economic driver to our community, which leads us from the Capitol complex down to the prison complex, where there's some exciting activities going on with the state of Missouri. Now starting on their health lab, DNR has taken over the old shoe factory, and we'll be rehabbing that and moving into that building. So there's a lot going on in Capitol Avenue. That stretch from the 400, 500, 600 block are a very important connector to the project we're going to talk about, or Lou's going to talk about, and the exciting opportunities that we have down at the prison project. The project, the conference center project, is one of those things, depending on how long you've been in this community, you've probably heard it talked about before. We've seen things going back decades. Someone said they saw a reference to it 100 years ago, I guess, in some city minutes. So it's been one of those long-term projects, and I know Gary has had a lot of fun working on it, trying to bring this project to a conclusion. And we see ourselves building on all the work that has been done in this community, all the input that has been done. Hopefully we have a site where we can plant the flag, do something really cool for this community. It just happened as challenges were arising on some projects, new opportunities came about, and we've kind of moved around the city a little bit, but when the opportunity came at Capitol, Monroe, and Madison, that half block, when we were approached first by, well, actually, to back up, we had done a parking study on our parking garage, and we're presented with 2 options. We could either spend about $15 million in rehabbing that old garage, which is not really built for new vehicles, large trucks, getting vehicles into that garage, or we could rebuild it, and we had made the decision we were going to rebuild it. At about that time, we were approached about purchasing the property next door to us, which was the News Tribune, which got some of us thinking that since we had had some challenges where we were looking for the conference center, we had an opportunity to put together a very exciting piece of property in the heart of the city. Would it work? And I talked to Luke and several people in this room kind of helped cobble it together of, can we fit a conference center, a new parking garage, and a hotel on that site? So they were very generous to bring a company in to begin looking, would this facility fit on the site? So you probably saw some preliminary drawings of what that looked like, and the exciting thing was that yes, it would, and then it's where you take it from there. So we have spent, surprisingly, about a year working on that project. It has come together very quickly. We sent out an RFQ at the end of the year. We're very fortunate to have 2 very qualified companies apply for it. We ended up selecting a company called Garfield Public-Private out of Texas to come in and work with us. One of the things I tried to insist on when we got involved in the project, that the city can play a role, and we need to be the cheerleader for the project. And obviously, we're going to be a key piece of the funding package and some of the other activities, but we need people that understand this marketplace, helping us lead the project. And Luke and the folks at JC Rep were very supportive of kind of moving into that role to play the things that we as the city don't have the capabilities to do. So I think that partnership has given us the opportunity to move this project very rapidly. We are on schedule. They have put together a great website, and I'm probably stealing some of your thunder. But there's a lot of data. We want to make sure that the community is up to speed on everything that we have, and we work through that project. So I'm very excited about the team we've got put together. I'm very excited with the work that Luke and his team, and Paul's here, Missy's here, so he's got his whole team, and everybody has been involved in this. So with that, I'm going to let him kind of talk about where we are and where we hope to go over the next 24 months. Okay.
Yeah. And yes, thank you, Mayor.
A few years ago, the Chamber restarted their Government Relations Committee as a voice for the business community, collectively as a chamber. And so this month, instead of having our meeting, we decided to do it in conjunction with this, with the update. So I want to recognize those members of the committee that are here. I know Tracy King and Lauren Miller are on Zoom. So if you're on the committee, just raise your hand so everybody knows, everybody here that's doing it. Thank you to those that are on the committee. Thank you to the mayor. But yeah, I want to introduce Holtschneider, JC Rep, and give us an update. Excellent. Thank you. And I want to thank Diane Gillespie. You work on the convention center for all the time, and all the work CDB is doing as well. Thanks, Diane. Everybody keeps stealing my comments. Couldn't be where we're at today without it. We got more about.
There you are.
Okay, so appreciate the opportunity. Great crowd this morning. This is exciting. You're always kind of curious on how much interest there is in a topic, and a lot of times attendance is a great representation of what that interest level is. So excited to see a full house today, and I'm pretty sure there was quite a few folks online as well. So again, Luke Holtschneider, I'm with the Jefferson City Regional Economic Partnership. As has been mentioned, Missy Bono and Paul Simpson are also a JC Rep. Kudos to Diane, the city, Brian. We've had participation and involvement from the Downtown Association, county partners, state partners, to get us to where we're at today. This topic, this conversation, this project's been discussed for decades, sounds like a century at this point in time, based off of when the most recent Capitol building was built. The mayor at that point in time said, the capital city, and one that has a facility like we have here in the state of Missouri, is due and fit for appropriate meeting space in a conference facility. And so I believe that was 1925-ish timeframe when that was built. So we've been talking about it for about a century. So I think there's a lot of energy and excitement at this point in time based off of location. So many times there's been iterations of a conference facility here in Jefferson City talked about and explored. Some really great opportunities that failed to get really across the start line. But ultimately never made it to completion, and a lot of those challenges dealt with location. And so just to familiarize and make sure that, kind of before we start giving any more updates, that there's clear understanding of the site and location. So as the mayor mentioned, the proposed site for the conference facility is the site of the current Madison Street parking garage, which is the largest public parking structure in the downtown area. Along with the newly acquired new Struden site, which has been recently demoed and has a well-standing bit of grass there at this point in time. But that site in its entirety, so basically a half block in downtown, along with an optional piece of property which the city also owns, which is the surface parking lot behind Saks. So that entirety of that site is the proposed location for the Downtown Conference Center Hotel and rebuilt parking structure. So just to make sure we're all on the same page as where it's at. I think a lot of that excitement as far as that location were numerous stars aligning. The city had commissioned a study on the Madison Street parking garage, an assessment of the structure, and it was determined that it was beyond the point of repair, that, from a cost benefit analysis, it was a better strategy to replace the parking garage. Parking is a high cost piece of development. It's a challenge, and it's been a challenge at other locations. And so, being that was kind of an already set in place motion that the city was going to pursue, we started to look at what are ways that we can revitalize that development by adding additional value to that site. And so at the same time, there had been kind of a shift in project location from the Missouri State Penitentiary site, where we were no longer under exclusive negotiation with that developer. So kind of the timing aligned where this opportunity seemed to be really the top priority. And again, because of the need to replace infrastructure, but also its proximity to the capital and being situated within the downtown. It makes the site more attractive, more compelling for event and meeting planners due to folks that would be attending those conferences, those events, and staying in that facility, to have commercial, retail, food and drink kind of establishments within walking distance. As well, we are the capital city. The one distinguishing factor we have compared to anybody else in the state of Missouri is we have the state capitol building. And so being within walking distance and line of sight made this property extremely exciting. So Mayor kind of brought you up to speed on the process we went through to get to where we're at today. The developer was selected and ultimately contracted in early 2024, Garfield Public Private. And since that point, we've been in the pre-development services phase of the project. I'll get to that here in just a moment. We hope to finalize those pre-development services at the end of this calendar year, work through the final design in early 2025, complete and put together the capital financing structure, and be able to start construction hopefully about a year. It's a pretty aggressive goal. It's been aggressive since the very beginning, but with a really strategic and dedicated focus and the right team of partners, we've been able to complete these milestones and objectives according to the timeline. So to familiarize everybody with the pre-development services, what that means, it's a lot of the professional service phase of a development. So at this point, after selecting the primary developer, we commissioned two studies. One was a market study, and one was a parking study. So the market study was performed by CBRE Real Estate, so kind of a global national real estate firm that does a lot of market studies to determine the demand and the potential for developments, primarily in the real estate market, but specifically when looking at hotel, conference center type developments. They're one of the top national companies to work with. So they were looking at it from the hotel and conference side. So, what type of facilities do we have here today? What type of opportunities do we have in the capital city, location within the country, and location within the state? What's the unmet market? And then ultimately, what's the big cost contributors to driving new business to Jefferson City? They also then looked at the hotel facilities, so a very similar situation. What's our existing hotel stock? What are the competitive set of properties? Again, where do we have a gap? Where do we have opportunities based off of unmet demand? We'll go into what those studies came back with. We also commissioned a parking study with Fishbeck. They are more of a parking consultant that looked at the entirety of a 9-block area of central downtown, with the existing parking garage site being the center of that 9-block area. And so they came in and looked during peak usage, what was the demand on parking in downtown Jefferson City. So they looked at it from a public owner parking facilities, privately owned, and then state. So one of the challenges, there's somewhat of a limited control based off of availability of public parking in the downtown. There's a lot of private parking in the downtown. Your churches and other facilities that have large parking lots that aren't necessarily public parking or accessible to the public during traditional business hours. And then you have a lot of state parking. And so understanding what the opportunities are, both from when we redevelop the downtown, but also in the interim while this is being redeveloped, how do we mitigate those impacts to existing downtown partners? So we'll get into what the parking consultants came back with. And that led us to where we're at this point in time and over the next handful of months, which is we're in the conceptual design phase. So the studies were to inform, based off of the community and the existing assets, what could a structure look like as far as sizing in Jefferson City? So how many hotel rooms, how big is a conference facility, how many parking stalls? So that's to tell us, okay, what could we demand? The next is, what does that look like? Visually, architecturally, how does that fit into the space? Which will then feed into how much does that cost? And then ultimately, the plan of finance and the construction schedule moving forward. So a lot of work still to accomplish this year, but we're moving forward on that process. So just some of the high notes, apologies for those towards the front where you can't see back there in the code, but I'll talk through the key points. I'll start with the hotel on the top right side there. It was recommended based off of the review that Jefferson City in this specific location, again, it was based off of location as well, their recommendations, is that it would be recommended for an upscale full-service hotel that would be able to accommodate up to 250 guest rooms. It's a split mixed use of the rooms, what exactly those would be, single, king size, 2 queen beds, some suites in there, but ultimately a well-branded national type of hotel. So Marriott, Hyatt, Hilton type of group traveler type hotel. Traditional amenities with the full service hotels, not in the hotel business, like very few people in here are. Being full service, having hotel restaurant, having fitness center, having a pool, some of those key amenities are part of that recommendation. From the conference center standpoint, they were looking at what we were initially recommending, but then also looking at, again, what are the existing facility square footages that we have in Jefferson City, and then meeting with the event planners that book a lot of the business that would be coming to Jefferson City to understand what is the market. What type of facility are they looking at? What kind of breakout of meeting space do they need for a 500-person multi-day business conference? Then from the community standpoint, if we're having community events that may want to hold 1,000 to 1,500 people for a dinner type of event. So having flexible space that can meet the majority of the business that we would be seeking, but not something that's built for just a couple times a year. So it's what's our middle of the fairway type of development. What it came out to be was the main ballroom is kind of the tipping point. The big point to this would be is being proposed at 18,000 square feet. That's fully open. It would have the opportunity to be divisible. I can't remember how many different ways you would be able to break that up.
5 different ways of
Divide it into smaller rooms and have a mixed use of it, have it be flexible is what's important.
And so it would be, as I mentioned, being able to be flexible with the space we have, but being able to bring in that business that we're currently not able to capture. The existing, just for frame of reference, the largest open meeting space that we have in Jefferson City currently is right around 12,000 square feet. So, for frame of reference, the Capitol Plaza main ballroom fully opened up is about 12,000 square feet. So, proposing something, substantially larger, but then also having the other type of breakout space available for being able to service a lot of those meeting planner type of events. So a total of 36,000 square feet meeting space. On the parking, there's a science to this parking, analysis and formula that they go through, but they were on site multiple days here in Jefferson City, counting cars. A lot of it, visually counting, but ultimately GIS and the technology that's out there allows them to do this very sophisticated way. But they came in and looked during legislative session, during Tuesday, Wednesday time period, which are the most heavily trafficked time of the legislative week. And they looked in the mid-morning and mid-afternoon time frames to understand what is the peak demand that Jefferson City has on parking in the downtown area. Based off of that peak demand being around 430 in our existing Madison Street parking garage, combined with anticipated programs at the hotel and conference that we bring to the site, they were proposing roughly 800 parking spaces to go into this development to serve both the downtown parking needs that the existing parking structure provides, as well as the hotel conference center facility. The existing garage, a little over 500 parking spaces, 550, I believe is the actual usable spaces. Some of those are not usable at the moment. So, it would be something that, based off of a private parking model and a shared use parking structure, there's ways to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the parking that the private consultants kind of put their plan in place with. So in total, again, for the site, they were proposing about 800 parking spaces. So before I get into the next piece, any questions at this point, or should I wait till the very end?
So you guys will still allow then like businesses to rent out so many parking spots, so like Central Bank, I know, rents out so many, like, that's still gonna be allowable.
When it's rebuilt?
Yeah.
That would be part of the plan, yes.
Okay.
I think the important thing to remember is that the sizing goal is really, if you're parking in that garage now, you want to continue parking, you're gonna have a spot.
Yeah.
But also, if you're a new customer, you're coming to the hotel, you're coming to the conference center, you're also gonna have a spot as well. And so we have to be able to meet those two goals, but also do that in the most efficient way possible, so you're not overbuilding and spending too much money on parking.
Parking is very expensive. Yep. It may cost on average $40,000 per spot to build on a parking garage for elevated structured parking. So, unnecessary build parking can get very costly and takes a long time on that return on investment. So we want to try to make sure that we're as close, but we're also not building it for Christmas and Easter, but let's build a fairway type need.
What about residents that live and how you live downtown? So would there be an opportunity for parking, long-term parking, in that area?
I think very similar to the business lease spaces, there would be that opportunity, and also identifying what are alternative lot locations that can be set up for different purposes. I think from the very beginning knew that this site, this project, this development would not solve all problems, and because it becomes too big and too cumbersome to put together to try and alleviate all challenges. But I think for the specific needs at hand, but also looking at the future growth, because they did build in some speculation that based off of a new development like this coming into the downtown, it's going to drive new business. We'll get into that in a minute, but the why this is so exciting is the opportunities it has to really reinvigorate, revitalize an already strong downtown. Bringing a lot of new business, a lot of new patrons, a lot of additional wealth into the community to provide opportunities for our existing businesses, as well opportunities for new businesses that would want to service those folks that are coming into the community. So the block on High Street, directly south of this, has a fair amount of vacancies currently. And so the hope and really the thought would be that a facility like this, once built or at least once under construction even, would drive new business to that area. That's going to increase some parking needs as well. So it did capture some of that into their model.
There's one question online. She didn't say anything, she just raised her hand.
Oh, okay.
Kiera?
I'm so sorry. Yeah, this is Kiera. And you'll just have to forgive me because I can't really hear everything. So it's kind of like an echo in the room. But I did want to ask the question, if you had not mentioned it already, how is this project or how is the redevelopment being funded?
Yep, we'll get into that. And so there, I will say, just like the visuals, there's a lot of things we want to already start to get into, but the process to get there takes some time. And so we'll get into those next steps here moving forward. So as we talked about, there was the studies to say, okay, what could the site absorb as far as rooms, conference space, parking. And then the next is the conceptual design. So how do you actually place that? What does it look like? We're just kind of underway in that process right now. So we don't have the cool, fun, really exciting photos yet. It's going to take a little bit. It's going to take a fair amount of iteration. And those won't be the final design. Because as you saw on a couple slides ago, the final design is going to be probably at the beginning of 2025 through the middle of next year. But this is the conceptual design. So this is what we need in order to determine how much this thing potentially would cost. Because, you can say this amount of space and rooms and parking, but until you start to lay it out what it looks like, you don't know the cost impacts. If you don't know the cost, you don't know the plan of finance. So, what the conceptual design is really looking at this point in time, it's similar to the earlier one that was done by Facet. It is really looking to activate Capitol Avenue in Madison to be really the focal entrance to this development. Those are, extremely both historic and valuable pieces of downtown real estate. And so using those more as your storefront. So your access points into the development really become primarily on Capitol Avenue and also towards the corner of Madison Street along Capitol Avenue. You would have your main level, your Capitol Avenue entrance levels being your hotel lobby and entrance, as well as your conference center entrance levels. So imagine that larger site being kind of the open concept, but something that would bring in a lot of those new guests into this facility. Towards the south of the site, which is between the primary hotel conference entry levels, as well then all the way back to the alleyway, which is commercial alley, as well cantilevering over that alleyway and then connecting up to or from the existing surface parking behind Sappy's would be the parking garage. So, this is very different than a lot of, kind of sprawling rural type developments where you have a lot of space so you kind of spread it out. This is much more of an urban type development, so a lot more of it is vertical. And so it's, space utilization 101 is kind of the exercise through the architectural design phase right now. And then using the height and stacking of the hotel on top of the Capitol Avenue portion of the site to capitalize on the visuals, the views. Again, this site is extremely attractive with its, it's catty corner to the governor's mansion. It's line sight to the state capitol building. And once you get a few stories up, you're also looking, south for an extremely long way. So this site has some really cool opportunities. Again, nothing final, just some early kind of white box type of designs, but to give you a feel, let me go back real quick. It's gonna be really hard for you all to see, and nobody can see this online, but from this area here, so that's the top kind of terrace of the conference center and hotel. So that puts you about, what is that? 50, 55 feet above elevation of Capitol Avenue today. So you're starting to get at the roof lines of the properties across the street of Capitol Avenue. And a big recommendation has been to activate the roof, the terrace on this type of development so that it gives opportunities for meetings, events, receptions to utilize outdoor space, again, with great views of, governor's mansion in the Capitol building. This puts you kind of on foot of that terrace view. So again, this would be where your hotel floors begin, just above your conference meeting space and your hotel lobby entrances. But just to start to visualize the activities that would be proposed at the terrace level. Again, you can't really get into a bunch of other designs. That's where the architects are spending their time right now, but it's something that, you know, well, obviously they understand the historic nature of Jefferson City and being a capital city, so it feeling appropriate, but also showing progress. And so, you know, anybody that's an architect, it's an art, and so they are working through that process right now to, based off of a little bit of direction to get some proposals together on what this thing could look like. One of them that they did recently allow us to come visit was a property that they had recently opened up that had a very similar feel to it. It's not that it's what they're proposing necessarily for Jefferson City, but from a scale, from a feeling when you walk into it, the quality. So Diane and I had the opportunity to go down and spend a day and walk through the property and view it and kind of touch and feel. Diane, if there's anything you want to mention on it.
Yeah, so when we walked in, I was like, okay, I want one of these. But what I liked about the hotel is that it had a great feel to it. It wasn't stuffy, it was very comfortable, it was very classy. And in the lobby area, there were several little areas for seating area, where people could have little group meetings. And I think that's important for convention groups coming in, but also during session. So I loved it, it was great. The hotel rooms, you didn't hear people out in the hallways, you didn't hear the people next door to you. It was very great quality, nice, beautiful property. Jefferson City deserves one of those. So I put my wish list in.
Yeah, pictures never do it justice. You know, Pretty Sunset never shows up as well on the phone. Very similar to this, it doesn't do justice. But just to give you some ideas, and while we were there, every bit of meeting space that they had was dedicated to one single event. I think they have 34,000 square feet total of meeting space, and it was 100% occupied with scrapbookers. And so this is not them, this is not but I can attest to the amount of people that they have in there in the products that there's a lot of excitement, a lot of energy around there. And I think something to me that always stands out, so the photo on the right shows kind of the outside hall corridor to the main ballroom, which is to the left where the two ladies are standing. And the wall of windows that they had, very similar to what's been discussed and proposed in Jefferson City, is again, how do you capitalize on the views and the setting that we'll have, and kind of using that as some pre-function space. So your exhibitors, your even receptions and kind of pre-party type functions could be utilized out there. But again, having that sitting 2 stories up and overlooking Capitol Avenue in the downtown area, I think we stand a really great opportunity to maximize the space based off of these type of design elements. And I believe that was my last slide. So, there are 2 questions.
I will open it up for questions.
I was just curious, what was the location of that hotel that you had toured?
It was just outside of Houston, or outside of the Woodlands. Yeah.
Has part of this study included employees? How many? Where are they going to come from? Where are they going to live? Where are they going to park, etc.?
Yep, kind of all things being considered, yes. So from the staffing standpoint, that's to be determined still on who the brand is and how that's brought together. A lot of times a new facility the brand, the Marriott, the Hilton, the Hyatt group will, they're vested in this as well. So they want to, they may bring in some folks from a management standpoint that are kind of building their resume as well, that to open up a new market here. And then as far as bringing in some additional staffing, they'll have some key staff that go aligned with it as well. But, you know, the overall is still up in the air as far as what that labor count would be. It'll be a few years before we would ever get to that point, but before we do get to that point of being open. Housing, yes, reinforces the need. We need housing, 100%. We need it for what we have today, and we need it for things that we're building the community for as well.
I assume that you're gonna probably hire subcontractors from this state, because they're from Texas.
So-
How are they bringing in their own people from the state?
So when the request for qualifications went out for lead developer, there was, it sought who their development partners would be. So they brought a team together that said, here's our architect, here's our engineers, here's our builders. And for this project, McCown Gordon was the building partner, the construction partner, that was part of the Garfield team. You know, they're, you know, a large construction company based in Kansas City. And you know, they're building the State One Health Lab right now. There's a project at Lincoln. So they're familiar with Jefferson City, but they would, with that experience as well, how to utilize local skilled labor as well, I think would be a priority for them.
There's another question online. Kiera, you had a question?
Oh, yeah. Just wanted to go back to my first initial question and also just ask, in case you hadn't mentioned it already, what the estimated annual revenue would be.
What was the first question?
Funding.
The first question about funding. How is the redevelopment being funded?
So it'll be a blend of public-private. So, you know, developments like this, the approach is traditionally going to be a public-private type partnership. You know, the city through the tourism sales tax does have, you know, funding in place that's been established since, when was that tax passed? 2011. So that basically half of the tax through hotel rooms are set aside for the development of a conference center. So right now that fund has generated about $90 million that would go towards this project. That also has a stream of revenue over the life of that tax that would be, basically you would borrow against, you know, so it's a known revenue stream that you would borrow from. There will be the borrowing or potential bonding based off of the revenues of the facility itself. So there is I couldn't cite what the net operating income is based off of the facility. It's in the market studies online. If you go to, made a good plug earlier, jcrev.org, you can find the entirety of those studies online. And some of that information is also not disclosed at this point in time due to negotiations with brands and other partners on what those assumed revenues would be. But it's going to take some creativity and all hands on deck to get a project like this done. It's been talked about and contemplated. It's never easy. If it was easy, we would have one, or we'd probably have 2 or 3 of them by now. It's the thing that, you know, I challenged others, you know, in settings similar to this, that, you know, if you looked at the downtown now, which is a great downtown, and you shut your eyes and you try to anticipate and think about 20 years from now, this downtown with this type of facility and the amount of activity that you see of what that downtown looks like. And then if you look 20 years from now and we didn't move forward with this development, what does the downtown look like? I think that is the why. Not just for the footprint of what this facility is and the activity it brings, but what it can do to transform and revitalize and, you know, kind of set the trajectory of the downtown for decades to come, I think is huge. So, Molly?
Yeah, just really quickly, with the city, I did this, Diane, do you mind just explaining really quickly the lodging tax, conference center tax? If somebody that's moved here within the last 5-10 years and didn't vote on that, might not be
Correct. So currently, our lodging tax is 7%. So that means when somebody goes to a hotel, checks into a room, they are charged an additional 7% lodging tax, along with the state, county, and city taxes. Of that 7%, 3% comes to the CDD for our operating and marketing expenses, and the other 4% goes into a conference center fund that is banked over at Central Bank right now, Commerce Bank, where I got that, Central Bank, and currently has 9.3 million in that fund at this time.
Well, like you were talking about, the opportunities and what it's gonna bring to us as a community and the growth, and which is awesome. But then you also mentioned earlier the wealth. And the businesses that are here, they're gonna benefit from those additional customers or people coming in and shopping and spending money here. I mean, that's only gonna allow us to grow and grow appropriately, right? The way we wanna grow.
And what did not mention yet is that, time's up. Is that we're also potentially working with the University of Missouri on an economic impact analysis of this. So, understanding the impacts beyond just the footprint of this facility are extremely important. That so many of those other benefits that we can associate with this, the additional food, retail, drinking, but it's also, service industries that support a facility like this. The dry cleaner, the banks, the gas stations. There's an indirect and induced benefit that an anchor institution like this brings. And so I think we need to fully understand the value of the development, both at the site, so what's it cost and how much money does it bring in on the site, which is a direct cost benefit. But you also have to understand the bigger impact and the broader benefits that happen, and they only happen through a development like this.
Are you all looking into the effects of the other hotels and their occupancy rates with bringing this hotel in?
That was something from the very beginning that's been key to this, is that the goal has been to lift all folks in this process. And through engagement with the experts, which I'm not, but both from the planners and the real estate experts in this field, is that developments like this will increase occupancy across the board. The development itself, would not be able to house or room all the people that come in for events. Not all people want to stay at that facility. It will drive a lot of additional room nights in this community, and there will be a lot of room nights that will be benefited to other facilities throughout the community through this process.
Diane, you talked about last time about how often we're full.
Yes.
And we have to turn away, we have to go to Columbia, we
Yes.
just touch on that.
Yes, so as you all know, during the month of May, we host the state track for 2 weekends. They completely fill every hotel room that we have in our community. Plus they go up to the Columbia area, the south end of Columbia, those hotels are full. Some of you are staying at the lake and some have gone over to Rolla. So there is that demand. You also have the skills convention that's here in April. They completely fill us up. During legislative session, we are full Monday and Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday nights completely. There is a demand for hotel rooms in here. And I tell the story that when I started in 2013, and since that time, we have gained 20 hotel rooms. That's 20 rooms is all we have gained. And we have lost 16,000 square feet of meeting room space. So since 2016, we have been losing the convention market. And we've got to get that back to bring more people in. And when we bring more people in, we bring more visitors into our community, there's also called the halo effect. And those are when people come into a community, see what we have, say, hey, I want to go live in Jefferson City, or I want to bring a business, or I want to move here and work here. So there is not only just coming in for a conference, they may decide they want to be a resident of Jefferson City in the future.
I'm afraid we're going to have to end on that note. Diane, very good, Luke, outstanding presentation.
Thank you all.
Quick announcements. Number one, be sure to tune in to Open Air Saturday tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock with How Do KWOS, which is 950 on the radio dial. Gay Sugget is going to be his guest tomorrow.
With Gary.
Not there alone.
Be the color
your comments.
You bring the jokes.
He's gonna talk about some of her priorities for the year as chair. So tune in and learn a little bit more about that. Also, you have a couple of flyers in front of you centered around the air show in Jefferson City on September 14 and 15. Both of these activities came out of our Workforce Coalition. We have a partnership with the Jefferson Rep. We have child care initiative there. We also have Jefferson Talent Attraction initiative. As you can see up here, we have a link to that website. We encourage you to do so. And then a month from now, we're going to have Friday Coffee all about that talent initiative. We're going to announce an exciting new phase of that. Friday Coffee on September 13th. But my main point this morning is we are filling up the space very quickly on this job fair at the air show. There'll be 20,000 people visiting the air show that weekend. Go to this information or ask us how you can register for that. Don't wait because it'll fill up very quickly. So that's all that I have this morning.
Thank you, Gary. Well, everybody, great event. Thank you for being here.